sometimes people don't necessarily feel comfortable approaching a group of men, especially if it has to do with safety or domestic violence or sexualized violence.
What does a wellness check look like without police? In this case, it's a group of women and femmes, all female identifying, walking the Downtown Eastside and other areas to prevent gender-based violence. And advocates want to see more investment in teams like this, led by peers and not police.
Part of what I wanted to do in creating this program was in response to like a significant sexual assault of a woman, very public at Main and Hastings. And so what I wanted to make sure that the perpetrators of violence knew was that there were people who were watching, there were people who cared, and there were people who were going to respond.
Summer Rain says she knows this area like the back of her hand. She has almost 20 years of experience in social work, including her work advocating for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Battered Women's Support Services launched the pilot project last May with a $50,000 grant from the Central City Foundation. When it comes to mental health, the Defund 604 network points to some of the worst outcomes for police-led response.
A relative and loved one, Chester, who was murdered in the Downtown Eastside, in the midst of a deep mental health crisis, the police officer decided to use deadly force rather than providing, before the situation kicked off, the supports that he so desperately needed.
We all benefit from having the right people responding to each type of call. City of New Westminster, the City of Victoria are all starting pilot projects with the Canadian Mental Health Association around mental health emergency response calls. I think that's a really important model that's certainly on our radar.
A recent report from the BC Human Rights Commissioner analyzed 5 police departments, including Vancouver's. It says Indigenous, Black, and other racialized people are overrepresented in arrests. Indigenous women and girls more likely to experience police violence. And chronic underfunding has led to an increase in officers responding to mental health and substance use crises. And it's data like this that has some reimagining what a wellness check could look like.
Many of them aren't necessarily gonna feel comfortable to engage with a police officer, especially one in uniform who may be in the community. So having other options is super important.
In Vancouver, Crystal Laderas, City News.